Okay, everybody, thank you for coming here today and sharing this honor with us. Zimmer Radio, Inc. is proud to be a part of the Joplin community. On May 22nd, our hearts were broken, our spirits were tested as we broadcast live on our 6 stations, relaying life-saving weather information, followed by 10 days of disaster recovery information. Zimmer employees work 24 hours a day voluntarily. 7 of our Zimmer families lost their homes completely. Our family, the Zimmer associates, dedicated themselves to the cries for help from our community. Even after their own needs. During our time with our community, those needs in our darkest hours. At this time, I'd like to welcome and introduce Governor Jay Nixon.
Good afternoon. It's good to see many of my friends on a warm and sunny day. Mayor Wilson, Mayor White, Chief, the rest of the officials here. They've got, I've got some stuff written here, but I just want to say 3 things real quickly. First of all, it's great to be traveling once again with the First Lady of the State of Missouri, my lovely wife, Georgianne, who wanted to be. We talk sometimes about, lifelines to a community. And as I look back, and think about those first 10, 11 days after this storm, you could always hear in the background, in kind of every room you were in and every vehicle you were in, when the first responders rest areas or whatever, the broadcasting of these radio stations throughout the region, and the way that we couldn't have enough time to make a full understanding of how many connections were drawn because of the centerpiece of, in essence, local radio. We often talk about the media, and those of us in public service, not always in a completely and stunningly positive way, nor they us. But this is one of those moments where, as the Chief Executive of the state, but for this local media outlet, but for the Zimmer Group and the employees' willingness to work literally 24/7 for those 10 days, a lifeline to the community would have been cut, and people would not have known where to go, and people would have not had the sense of focus that was necessary to accomplish what was done in those first 10, 11 days, as the chief and his team were leading folks literally crawling over the piles to try to find survivors and keep security and organize. And I just want to say, I just cannot say enough about the chief and his operation here locally. A lot of places have disasters, and a lot of places during those disasters lose the rule of law. And they lose that, and it's incredibly important, especially in situations such as a tornado, where people's personal products and lives are stretched out over miles. That folks know that they are going to have their former homes, their former businesses kept safe so that they can come search them, and then when they get tired or they have to go home, they can or go away from their home, go back, and then come back. Chief, you and your organization working seamlessly with almost 403 law enforcement agencies around the state did remarkable efforts in those first few days here, and your leadership and resolute leadership made a tremendous difference. But none of that was possible unless people could communicate. And when 18 cell towers go down, when there's basically, other than emergency, we brought the Highway Patrol communication center down. Luckily enough, the Joplin City Hall was outside the path, and then the Ops Center was set up down there that was being run out of the basement there. But other than that, the people here had no communication other than right here, and you all. The paper came out once a day, but it suffered its losses, and just came out once a day. And if you don't have a mailbox, then I'm not sure how you're supposed to be getting a paper. I was reminded when we were, I told this story before, it's a couple of weeks afterwards, we're down here and we were trying to highlight businesses that had committed to rebuild, and we went to Jim Bob's Steakhouse, and which I'd eaten at before and will hopefully again someday. But literally we were there, the building was completely gone, it was completely flattened, and who shows up but the mailman? Who comes up and hands the owners their mail. I mean, you got your own mailbox down here, and it shows you how little communication there was the requirements. You basically had to stand on the street corner if you were going to get mail. But the punchline of that story, to me, was one I told the first day that the teachers were at the teachers' meetings this year, was that he gave them the mail, and everybody laughed. They didn't have a mailbox, but they said we're going to rebuild. And the mailman was getting ready to walk away, and he turned around and he said, "Hey, where's my bass?" And they said, "What?" And he said, and all at once the husband leaned over and said, "We found it." And so he leaves, and I said, "What do you mean?" The mailman walks up. You don't have a mailbox. He gives you your mail, and he says, "Where's my bass?" I mean, am I missing some sort of local connector here that is a way that people talk down here? I should learn the local lingo. And he said, "No, the mailman was especially proud of a striper he caught in one of the lakes here, had it mounted, and took it home, and it was so big, and his wife wouldn't let him have it in the house, so he brought it with him at lunch and gave it to us at Jim Bob's." And I said, "Okay, I'll put the bass up in our restaurant. It's okay with me." And he said the next day when we began searching, I'm like 6 blocks away from here, walking towards here, and there's the bass. so the old bass will go up in the new Jim Bob's. So, it's that's a little bit of a funny story, but that same connection was made for lives around this area. I mean, but for this radio station, those connections wouldn't have been made. The connections you made took away people's fear and connected them with loved ones. The connections you made and the centerpiece of this community you were will never be forgotten. So in that sense, I think that it's appropriate that I want to read the proclamation that I signed and we're going to deliver to you today. Whereas at 5:41 p.m. on Sunday, May 22nd, 2011, one of the deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history tore through the cities of Joplin and Duquesne, Missouri, destroying or badly damaging several thousand residences, businesses, churches, schools, and many other structures, including a major hospital. And whereas about 4 p.m. that day, as reports began to come in that severe weather was headed toward Joplin, radio station Kzrg, a Zimmer Radio Joplin station, went live. Wall-to-wall coverage of the impending storm, and along with 5 other Zimmer radio stations, provided early warnings to area residents to immediately take cover, saving many lives in that initial hour. Whereas even as electricity and cell phone service were knocked out, Kzrg continued to broadcast with backup generators, taking calls and allowing survivors to let their loved ones know where they were and that they were all right, and even helping the Duquesne Police Department dispatch officers after their police radios were knocked out. Whereas for 9 consecutive days, Zimmer Radio Joplin stations broadcast news and information nonstop, even at a time when 7 Zimmer associates had lost their own homes. And whereas when notified of the tornado, Zimmer Radio owner James Zimmer immediately left a family vacation to come to Joplin to play an active role in doing whatever was needed to help with the recovery of this community. And whereas Zimmer Radio Joplin and its associates performed an invaluable service to the people of Joplin and Duquesne in keeping them informed with warnings and accurate news reports before, during, and after the tornado, and serving as a way for citizens to let their loved ones know of their whereabouts, and in helping citizens find personal belongings lost due to the storm or report belongings that had been found in order to return them to their rightful owners. I therefore do officially proclaim and thank Zimmer Radio Joplin for its service to the people of the state of Missouri and to this region, and for its staff and associates' exemplary service when called on by their fellow citizens of Joplin throughout this great time of need. It is my honor and pleasure to present this to you as a small token of Missouri's respect and Joplin's love for what you did when times were tough. It's unbelievable what you did. And as I said before, the end, the last part of this local press outlets catch the flavor of a community so closely and are part of our emergency management network. And we thank you once again for your incredible leadership.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.